Hundreds of millions of years ago, the Himalayas were not what they are now. As millions of years passed, the original landmass of Pangaea split into several landmasses and they shifted to slowly resemble the globe as we know it. During the Eocene era, present-day India was only a landmass in the Indian Ocean making its way north towards the Tibetan Plateau. Present-day India came to be when the two continents collided. This caused the crust of India to go underneath the crust of the Tibetan Plateau, or Asia, and push the land upwards, creating the Himalayas. Because of this collision, the Earth's crust is much more thick in this location due to the buckling and binding of the collided continents. The average thickness of the crust in the Himalayas is around 75 kilometers, which is about double the average thickness around the world. Although this collision happened 40 to 50 million years ago, the Himalayas are still considered one of the youngest mountain ranges on Earth. The Appalachian Mountains, for instance, are around 300 to 500 million years old. Evidence of this collision includes the high amount of earthquakes in the region. This suggests that India is continually moving north into Asia, which puts a lot of stress on that tectonic plate. Here is a map that shows how high risk the Himalayan area is for earthquakes. Some other physical evidence found in the area consists of pink sandstone, plant fossils, and animal fossils. The plant and animal fossils suggest that the area was once flooded from the Tethys Ocean. The plant fossil was found all over the world. India, South America, Africa, with no explanation as to how it was able to spread overseas. This was one of the initial reasons geologists began to believe that the continents were once all connected. Here is a video explaining how a plant called Glossopteris helped scientists come to this theory.
Glossopteris is a type of plant known as seed fern, and from many different lines of evidence, such as roots and leaves and preserved trunks, paleontologists think that Glossopteris is actually a type of tree.
Soon, this humble tree fossil was found across the globe. In India, South America, Africa, Madagascar, and Australia. Geologists now had a puzzle. How had this one species of plant spread between continents, separated by thousands of miles of ocean?
Glossopteris is a very important fossil because it could not have dispersed over vast distances. It couldn't have just been dispersed by the wind or by birds across oceans.
If Glossopteris couldn't cross oceans, then scientists were left with one conclusion. When these trees were alive, 250 million years ago, the continents were all joined together. They were part of a supercontinent geologists call Gondwana land. Glossopteris was able to spread across this ancient landmass.
The pink sandstone found, like that in this picture, contains magnetite that shows evidence of the Earth's magnetic field switching. Since the collision of the two continents occurred, the Tibetan Plateau has moved skyward and northward approximately 1¼ miles from its previous location. From start to end of the Himalayas, they span a total of over 1,800 miles from India to Nepal and also cross into Pakistan and China. The highest peak of the Himalayas is Mount Everest, that is 8,848 meters tall. Although the Himalayas are generally known for Mount Everest, there are a total of 9 other peaks in the Himalayas that are over 8,000 meters tall. To put that into perspective, the next highest peak outside the Himalayas is Mount Aconcagua in the Andes, that is only 6,962 meters tall. Although the Himalayas are continually growing, the peak height has generally stayed the same due to erosion and gravity, preventing them from growing higher and higher. Prior to the collision of the two continents, the Tethys Ocean existed in this region for approximately 200 million years. You can still find evidence of marine life in the Himalayas from the Tethys Ocean, which was more evidence for geologists to believe the Himalayas were formed from moving plates. Currently, the Himalayas are home to more glaciers than any other landmass aside from the North and South Poles. In total, there are about 15,000 glaciers in the Himalayas, with the Himalayan Saichen Glacier being the largest glacier outside the North and South Pole. Last year, the Himalayan database states that 658 climbers reached the summit of Mount Everest. There were also 9 confirmed deaths that occurred last year from people trying to reach its summit. As dangerous as it sounds, the amount of deaths per year has drastically dropped since the 1900s due to better production of climbing gear, weather forecasting, and guided tours. Some notable climbers that have reached the summit of Mount Everest are Jordan Romero, who is the youngest to ever reach the summit at the age of 13. Here he is talking about his experience.
Safe.
Yeah, there were some points on Everest where I thought, I'm not sure if this is the most safe thing ever. During the whole climb, there's that, but during an avalanche that we were slightly involved in, that's where I'm kind of thinking.
What happened during the avalanche?
Well, during the avalanche, there was a huge serac that had collapsed on the approach to the North Pole.
Like an ice shelf.
Yes, like an ice shelf. And my dad told me, Jordan, that thing could collapse anytime. We need to get moving right now. So he started moving, and just as we got out of the zone, it happened right there, and it was quite scary. So we were right on the edge, just enough to be pulled down with me and my dad and one of our other Sherpas. And the guide Sherpa had came down, helped me out, and we were pulled up to safety.
And here is Min Bahadur Shurchan, who is the oldest to ever reach the summit at the age of 76. The biggest issue with the amount of people climbing Mount Everest is the amount of trash left behind. Although most of the trash is oxygen tanks, tents, and other equipment needed to make the climb, human waste is also a concern. Combined, there is approximately 121 tons of waste left behind on Mount Everest. Some types of rock Mount Everest is made of are grained limestone, marble, and granite. Some other information of the Himalayas. A few animals that live in the Himalayas are the rare snow leopard, the giant panda, and the monocled cobra. When translated, Himalayas means abode of snow in Sanskrit, which is an ancient language from India. Some things we have learned throughout the video are even though the Himalayas is the youngest mountain range on Earth, it is the highest mountain range on Earth. The Himalayas formed 40 to 50 million years ago when India ran into the Tibetan Plateau. India continues to put pressure on the Eurasian plate, evident by earthquakes. The Himalayas are home to the Earth's third most amount of glaciers behind the North and South Poles. Thank you for watching. I hope you have found this information useful.